ESPN's Shams Charania has just dropped a major bombshell, and it will have a huge effect on the NBA trade market this offseason. And this could mean that the Houston Rockets could potentially add a former NBA champion to this young squad. Hello, everybody. I am Donovan Ricondo for Rockets Digest, where we break down all the latest news, rumors, and updates regarding your H-Town team. And we love all the support that we have been getting over the past few days. However, 95.1% of you have yet to subscribe. That's actually down from 96% just yesterday. So thank you to the 0.9% of you who hit that button below. And if you haven't hit the button, for the rest of you, what are you waiting for? This content is 100% free. It costs $0 to get all the news, insights on your H-Town team. And so hit that button below, as we are going to discuss topics like the one in this video right here. We have a new report from Shams, who says that Giannis is reportedly open-minded about exploring a trade for the first time in his career. This news just broke this morning on ESPN's Get Up of the former NBA Finals MVP, former NBA champion, former MVP. Giannis is on the market. And Shams gave a quote this morning to ESPN Get Up. He said, "He is the biggest domino in the NBA right now. He's a 30-year-old in the prime of his career. His potential availability is something all 29 teams outside of Milwaukee are monitoring." This is huge, absolutely huge news from Shams Charania breaking this down. And he also brought down a lot of the details as to why, Giannis would be looking for something like this. And quite frankly, if I was the Milwaukee Bucks, I would be completely open to trading Giannis, considering these things that Shams broke down. He said that they really don't have a lot of first-round draft picks to begin with. For the next 5 years, I don't even think they control that. And in terms of the cap space, he says that this is a very top-heavy roster as far as salary. Lillard is making $54 million, but he has an Achilles injury. You don't know exactly, how healthy he's going to be next year. Giannis is on a 3-year, $175.4 million contract with a player option in 2027, 2028. And so, considering those two things, the Bucks are scrambling for assets. They're scrambling to build a team around what they had, their two best players, Lillard and Giannis. That did not work out for them. I know they had injuries with Lillard for those few games, but first round exit is not where you want to be if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. And so trading a guy like Giannis could be what you might need to make a run in the next few years. And Giannis also talked a little bit about why he would want to leave. And he did this on his brother's podcast, the Thanalysis Show, probably one of the best sports podcast names I've ever heard in my life. But he said, "Me not having a second championship, I look back at my career and everybody can say, oh, incredible career, active Hall of Famer, first ballot, whatever. But me, my personal goal, if I am not able to help my team win a second ring, I'm letting down myself." So this is straight from Giannis's mouth. This is him saying, I want a second championship so desperately in terms of, his legacy, his how he looks at his career. And you don't get that in Milwaukee. You really don't. I mean, no first-round picks to build around what you have right now. Not a lot of cap space to do it. And so him seeking a trade, him being open to trade talks makes sense from Giannis's perspective and Milwaukee's perspective. And so Antetokounmpo, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know he's coming off one of his best seasons of his career, averaging 30 points per game, which is crazy. 30.4, 11.9 rebounds, 6.5 assists on 60% shooting in 67 games. Top 3 in MVP voting. He is a bona fide stud. Any team that has him will be lucky to have him. And he is going to, for sure, in my opinion, it's only a matter of time until this guy wins a second championship. I'm sure he'll find a spot to do that. It won't be with Milwaukee. And so we'll see where Giannis lands. But with all this talk of where can he go, what destinations can he possibly be, Houston is at the top of that list. And so what we're going to do right now is break down a new mock draft from Sports Illustrated that kind of, illustrates where he can go. And that would be Houston. But there's another team involved in this potential mock draft. And this is from Sports Illustrated. And there's a lot to break down here. There's 3 teams, lots of assets moving around. And so we're going to start with the Pelicans. The Pelicans would receive in this mock draft Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, a 2027 first-round pick via Phoenix, which is technically our pick, 2027 second-round pick via Memphis, and a 2028 second-round pick via Houston. Now for the Bucks, they will receive Zion Williamson, Houston's Jalen Green, Kelly Olynyk, 2026 and 2027 first-round picks back from the New Orleans Pelicans, 2028 first-round pick, top 5 protected via Houston. And then the Rockets, our beloved H-Town team, will receive Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kyle Kuzma. This is a hefty trade. This is a stacked, lots of moving pieces, lots of different things happening here. Let's all break it down one by one. We'll mostly focus on the Rockets, of course. This is a Rockets channel. Who cares about the Pelicans? We're going to break this down really quickly. Here's why the Pelicans would make it. Lowest risk in the trade, getting rid of Zion, plenty of injuries. You get some young guys in that deal. That's their benefit. In terms of the Bucks, for the reasons I pretty much just said earlier, so much salary that you're kind of getting rid of with Giannis. You're not hitting the reset button at full force, but there's plenty of insurance of the future. You're getting some, talented guys like a Jalen Green, like a Zion Williamson. Both those guys have question marks, above them. Together, could they make it work? Williamson, with his injuries, Jalen Green with his lackluster playoff performance. He is just 23 years old, 3-year, $106 million extension setting in. As far as the Houston Rockets, they would be giving up a lot. That is, you just saw half of our roster essentially leaving. Not in terms of starters, except for Jalen Green and Jabari Smith. Well, actually, I take that back. You're giving up pretty much 3 of your starters. That is a lot. That is 3 starters you are giving up. They wouldn't going all the way. Of course, you still get Şengün. You keep Şengün. You still keep Amen Thompson. Maybe you can do something finally with Cam Whitmore. You'd also keep your lottery pick this season, which, by the way, NBA lottery tonight, so much is going, so many dominoes to fall tonight. We'll break that down tomorrow as well, so stay tuned for that. But that's the case for the Rockets. And there's a lot of moving pieces. And so we're going to go back here. We're going to go back to this trade. And we'll start off with what we received. Giannis on our team. Again, Giannis, top 3 player in the NBA, absolute stud. A guy like Kyle Kuzma being added to the roster, so maybe you replace a starter with him as well. But the main key point here is Giannis. And so a tandem duo with Giannis and Şengün could be one of the scariest duos you have. But you are giving up a lot, right? In this mock trade, Sports Illustrated, you're giving up Fred VanVleet, who you might sign to a player option to a team-friendly deal. Giving up Jabari Smith, who was one of your best shooters in the playoffs, a very consistent considering Houston standards. Giving up Reed Shepherd, your 3rd overall pick last year. And you're giving up Jalen Green, who has been the subject of trade talks since our elimination from the playoffs. If you ask me, right, if I'm the GM, I feel like a trade like this, as great as it would be to have a guy like Giannis on the team, this is hefty. Hefty. Like I said earlier, that's 3 starters that you're intentionally saying, get the heck out of here. We want the Greek freak. And I don't know if I fully buy that idea. I know, again, talented is Giannis. He is fantastic. But you're not really acquiring shooters. Two, you got two bigs, which is great. I'm sure can win you a lot of games. But come playoff time, you still need that. You still have an absence of that shooting guard scorer that you need, that you hoped Jalen Green would be. You wouldn't really be getting that back. Again, you get Giannis, who has proven to win games at the end. However, a lot of those games in Milwaukee, was Middleton making the last shot, was Damian Lillard making the last shot, and so you don't really get that back in this trade here, and you're giving up so much, and it kind of feels to me that you're kind of essentially getting robbed in a way. Like you're I mean, it's not exactly, this isn't a foolproof trade, but this isn't, if I was GM, something that I personally would not give into. As great as it would be to have Giannis, as great as it would be, don't get me wrong. And I know a lot of people are hoping for him to make a stop in Houston and win a championship. This is a lot you're giving up. GM Rafael Stone has said he wants to, keep this team together as possible. And to say that is one thing, and then to make a trade possibly like this would be a completely other thing. And if my, instincts tell me correctly, Rafael Stone could look at something like this and kind of be like, well, continuity, right? Like you're giving up, you've built so much essentially from the ground. Jabari Smith, drafting him, drafting Reed Shepherd, drafting Jalen Green, acquiring Fred VanVleet, saying, hey, this is the track we want to be on. We want you to be the guy to help lead that. And I feel like you would be giving up on all the things that you have kind of set out to do. And so I don't think a trade like this would follow that path and would make sense from a GM front office standpoint. However, I want you guys to tell me in the comments, what would you be willing to give up for a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo? Let me know what kind of mock trades y'all guys would go for. This has been an episode of Rockets Digest. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and we'll see you guys next time on this channel.